All right, Bruntz. I got this from, and I always ask the even keeled guys, so I don't know what the guys that I don't ask this think. I think about their personality, but let's just say I would not ask this to one Mike J. Schaefer. I have this from an anonymous fan because I asked Ravi. I said, "Shoot, man, you started at 10 wins." He goes, I didn't start at 10. I started at 9. And as camp wears on, does that number increase? Because it typically does, right? You get a little thirstier. You hear the coaches. You hear the players. Kool-Aid goes down a little better with ice. He said, I'll tell you this. About 2 months ago, the hype and the outlook was really subdued. As we approach August, I can feel the optimism ramping up. It hasn't reached a delusional state yet, like I've observed in the past, but pitchers are definitely opened and ready for Kool-Aid. Does your board, do your constituents, do you echo that sentiment, Michael Bruntz?
That there seems to be a
I mean,
a ramp up.
yeah, like you're more apt to stir with your hand than go get like a spatula or a spoon or something, right?
I've been at 8-4 since the spring, and I still feel good about 8-4. I don't know. I would maybe go one win north of that if I'm feeling a little froggy. But I do think they're basically since like what Big Ten media days. I think there's been a little bit of a ramp up. That's just the nature of fall camp, though. Like I feel like whatever number you were at during the spring, you can probably tack on a win to it. I think that's that's just the nature of the season. So I don't know. It's you dig into it a little bit more, you start to see people or see players like on the turf. And yeah, I think they've got a chance to get to 8 or 9. Like I don't think that's a huge stretch. It's interesting within our little cubicle over here at the office. We were talking yesterday. Schaefer's kind of swung the other way. I think last year he was pretty bullish on things, and this year he's a little bit more subdued on things. He snip snapped on it. So I think I don't know. I think it's okay to be a little bit bullish on this team. I think this is going to be their best version of what they've had the last of the 3 years.
All right. Again, I'm going to ask another measured question. For a team that is very inexperienced and has a ton of youth, what is it about this group that we say, hey, they seem to have I think they're going to have good depth. Like I think that's kind of the consensus, and we say that without really having seen a lot of these guys play. Where do you think that comes from? Because I'm in that camp.
Where do they fall? Remind me again. And I don't know if
34 juniors and seniors.
But where, like in terms of starts and things like that, they're like middle of the pack, right?
Yeah,
like,
and the conference. Yeah.
Okay.
But offensive line has a ton of starts.
Right. Yeah. So where do I?
Yeah, like because first of all, do you feel like this is a season that will lend itself to depth?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There are the fact that you can point to like very specific positions where there's a lack of depth, I think signals how strong it is other places. Like it's defensive back is an incredibly deep. You watch the wide receivers run around. I mean, I think they've got guys that they feel okay about there, down to a 2 deep, maybe a 3. I mean, the offensive line is the one that not just the top end guys, but when you start getting into second and third teams, I mean, it's before you'd be like, okay, this guy's a third team tackle, or this guy's a third team guard, like, and has no chance of getting anywhere near the field. But I mean, now like it feels like there's a legitimate 2 deep, and I think they've done a good job of getting younger guys in a position to contribute earlier than maybe what's happened in the past. Like especially, I mean, you think of like, a Keona Davis, some of those guys, Riley Van Poppel, when he was a freshman, was playing and contributing. Vincent Shavers is a good example of that. I mean, even guys that are air quotes young as sophomores, I think are pretty experienced. And I think that's when you have that too, you're kind of reaping the benefit of having played some of those guys earlier and taken some of the lumps earlier in their careers or, previous seasons. So there's a lot of depth, and I would hope that the depth at certain spots helps you in other areas too. Like, you should be better on special teams because you have more defensive back depth. You have more linebacker depth. You've got redshirt freshmen that look like they're ready to play, and might not be able to get in your top 11, but they got to help you somewhere. And I think Nebraska's shown Mike Eckler has shown a willingness to play younger players on special teams and coverage. So I do think that that depth should help the areas that need to be helped, especially special teams being the biggest one, I think.
Bruntz, it sounds like, I feel like you're talking yourself into 9 wins right in front of our very eyes here.
Oh, no, I'm not.
It sounds great.
No. We're not doing that yet.
No.
My number is like 8.2. 8.2.
8.2. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're creeping slowly.
Slow creep, like the creeping Charlie in my backyard that I can't get rid of.
So Bruntz, kind of a 2-in-1 here. I feel like a lot of the buzz, for once, has come on the national level, right? I feel like it's not local media saying X, Y, and Z. I think for the most part, it's been played pretty close to the vest, even though he spoke a lot more in the offseason than he traditionally has. So maybe this lends itself to this first part of the question. Do you agree with the fact that a lot of the buzz has become national more than local? And do you think the national media has differentiated between just liking Coach Rhule because he's a good coach or a good speaker versus he's very endearing, right? Like you're around him and you want to be around him more. Versus, man, this guy's a really good coach and I like him.
I don't know. I think Nebraska's being talked about. I don't know that there's a lot of certainty about what Nebraska is on a national level. Is that fair?
Yeah, well, I hear dark horse quite a bit.
But what they've done, what's happening is that there is, like, you have to think of the Big Ten, I think, in tiers. Like, you've got your top 3 teams that I think you can probably feel reasonably good about being there at the end of the year. And then there's kind of like this, the tier 2. There's like 5 or 6 teams that one of the teams in that group has to emerge to get to team 4. You know what I mean?
Could I convince you at 6?
In the mid tier?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. However many you say, like Nebraska, I don't think has been in that tier for a while. Like when Nebraska's been in that tier of like, maybe they can put it together, then they end up like in the back of the pack, struggling to keep up.
Let's say I mentioned Nebraska last of the bunch, just because they haven't won more than 6 games in 8 years. Okay. So I give you Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, USC, Nebraska. I want to put Washington in there. I think people think I'm fast forwarding. And if I'm not going to fast forward with Nebraska, then I'm not going to do it with Washington.
What about Minnesota? They've got 7.5 win total.
I like Minnesota.
They're in that. I think they're in that group.
So that's 7.
Okay.
Is that cool? You good with that family?
Yeah. I don't think we've forgotten anybody. I think Nebraska's in that pool with the national folks that I don't think that they were previously. Like, I think they were a bit of an afterthought, because I think whenever you hear the discussion about Nebraska nationally, it's not like there's a lot of qualifying going on, right? It's like Nebraska can take a big step forward if Dylan Raiola takes a big step forward. You're getting the Matt Year third year bump. Like there's a lot of that. And I guess I guess that's buzz relative to like what it's been in the past few years, which is like, is Nebraska just going to make a bowl game? I mean, it's a different conversation now, but I don't know. I feel like nationally Nebraska is being put in that pool of teams, and that's, I mean, a few of those teams I would consider in the dark horse category. Certainly Illinois seems to be probably towards the front of that pack in terms of a team that's going to emerge that hasn't previously. So I don't know. It feels like there's more discussion. I don't know how much of it's like. It just feels like there's a lot of questions still about Nebraska, but people are at least willing to watch for the answers. And I don't know that that's been the case in the past.
Okay, let me ask you something, MB. Would you rather be Illinois with 17, 18 starters back, 70% production, kind of operating in the know, 3-year coordinator on offense, defense, and a 3-year starter at quarterback, and kind of be boxed, or a team like NSC or Nebraska where the ceiling is very intriguing, but you have a lot more unknown in terms of what's on the field? Because I feel like we're treating them differently, but we're putting them in the same bucket, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Is there a bucket within the bucket? Like,
is there a bucket? Is there a different bucket in the 17 bucket? I would probably say yes.
I think
it's like a Russian nesting doll. Like you've got the the thing that like you
I
put
know
inside the other thing and the other thing
says that.
So
there's a small thing. There's another one.
You're asking me if I would rather be a team that you feel like you can bet on more easily, like Illinois, because they have a returning quarterback, veteran line.
It seems like we're treating the expectation levels differently.
I'm fairly boring, so I think I'll take that box. That's an okay box to be in, isn't it? Like you would take that box.
He said Russian.
I think it depends on who you are.
Bruntz, you are wild.
And then, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'd rather be in Illinois' box than what USC's got right now. Like, I think USC's got the potential for a high ceiling, but I don't know. I'd take my 10 wins and move on if I were an Illinois fan.
10, huh?
I don't know.
They have the same win.
It's that fall camp Illinois talk. I'm ramping up that win total.
They 9?
No, I think it's going to be 9.
No. Listen,
I think
I'm talking about
7.5. I think is their number.
Illinois and Nebraska, and I asked because Illinois and Nebraska have the same.
I know. I know.
Right?
Yeah. No. I think I would go with the. I would just take the veteran. I like some experience and I like a returning quarterback.
Not a big ceiling guy.
That's your personality though, right? Like
I do think it matters who you are, because Illinois and USC are really the perfect examples here. Because if you're Illinois, as an Illinois fan who hasn't seen 2 good years in a row in 30 years, you probably are like, yeah, sign me up for the 9 wins again, like 100%. Whereas if you're a USC fan, you probably sit there and like, okay, we brought in all this talent for what? For 9 wins? Right? Like, so like you can be in the same box and feel very differently about how you got there, right? USC's ceiling talent-wise is much higher. Where Illinois is like, hey, we're building as a program. We can take another 9-win season, and that's a step in the positive direction.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So, I think Nebraska's somewhere in between, right? Nebraska fans at this point would be happy, I think, with 8 or 9 wins because of where they've been. But I also think they look at the roster and say, hey, I think we can maybe do a little better.
So that's the conundrum, right?
Is you're like Nebraska, you're torn in between. You're half Illinois.
Another Mary McGregor reference, Bruntz.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in Nebraska's ceiling feels higher just relative to expectations. I mean, I
agree.
Where
compared to Illinois?
In Champaign or in Nebraska?
You compared to what expectations, you mean?
Yeah, because I think Illinois feels pretty good.
No, what I mean, I think Nebraska has because I think nationally, probably, what is it? I think people are expecting them to be closer to the 7.5 number.
For Nebraska?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the thinking is that the number for Illinois is a bit lower given what we've discussed with the quarterback and everything else and kind of where they're building to. So I guess that's why I say that is I think Nebraska's ceiling is a bit higher when you're talking expectation relative to expectations going into the season. Like
Bruntz, I have a.
they play each other, by the way. Like USC and Illinois. USC's got to go in 2 of 3 weeks. They've got to go to Champaign, and then they've got to go to West Lafayette. Like, how about that?
Yeah. Bruntz, I have a question for you. And I wonder if you think you're taking a leap of faith. Nebraska hasn't lost less than 5 games since 2016. Can you have the discussion with a different coach in Coach Rhule and in a whole different 10 miles, don't put that crap on me, and not have that creep into your frontal lobe? Because that's the part. I asked Ravi yesterday, we're just ingrained to think in fear. Like, when are we going to get over the fear and just say, gosh, I think we could be pretty good? Is that part?
That crap on me.
Is that part of it, do you think?
The hexing and vexing BS, I think, is what he also said. Right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that's the second part of that?
That was actually the gem of the quote.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, statistically, the one game, the one score stuff has to improve at some point, right? Like
We
keep saying that every year.
Yes. At some point it does.
At some point it will. It's got to. But no, I mean, I think that's a fair question. I mean, I don't know though. Like, how do you? Like, I think you can separate it, but when you're actually in Memorial Stadium, like, you can feel the weight in there, right? Like, when things kind of start going.
Well, he talked about it at UCLA, the difference between UCLA at home last year and being at the shoe.
Well, I'm talking from like the fan base. Like,
me too. He said they were booing and people were kind of comfortable. And
so I don't know. Like, I think I think before you kind of are willing to turn the page, I think people need to see the results. Like, I think it's too natural to say, oh, here we go again, that kind of thing. But no, I agree. I mean, it's, at what point is a head coach not responsible for the sins of his predecessor? And, that unfortunately,
when you hire him,
I mean,
right?
In theory,
but from a fan base perspective, you're right. We are holding Rhule responsible, not just for Frost, but also for Riley, when we sit here and go like, oh, I mean, obviously I've been very out there with my 10-win prediction, but people, like, the number of people are like, oh, you got to give Nebraska their 3-game Nebraska penalty.
And I do hear Bruntz, and it's me, and I think and I don't say it's me as like I am saying it as a quantifier. Like, I think I know the sport, and I could say, and I have from day one, I really like Coach Rhule. And immediately, if somebody wants to knock down my sentiment about what I feel about Coach Rhule, they're going to tell me about Nebraska never winning anything in their lifetime. So he does get the pushback of history.
Right.
So,
but then we don't give him the benefit of the history right before that.
It's just, you know what I mean? It's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
Just for what it's worth, just doing a quick look here. I wonder at what point last year.
Like, I'm pretty sure I like Coach Rhule other than the fact we get along.
Yes.
Okay.
But, like, I wonder at what point.
I get along with a lot of people I don't like.
I wonder, or don't think they're good at their job. I wonder at what point last year.
1 and 10.
I wonder at what point last year Indiana fans decided that they weren't going to lose 5 games. Because outside of COVID year, which we've decided doesn't count, it had been early 90s since they had not lost 5 games in a season. So we're talking 30 years of this, right?
Yeah.
Where, like, so I wonder at what point, and I know Indiana and Nebraska historically are very different football programs, but I wonder at what point last year Indiana fans are like, oh, are we going to go to a college football playoff? Or, are we going to win double-digit wins?
Do you think you get similar sentiment between Nebraska football and Indiana basketball, though? Like, because I think, like, that's
very similar.
You're absolutely right. Like, the context matters a ton. But it's funny, like, it's funny you mentioned those two because I could see a lot of similarities of kind of like Indiana basketball versus Nebraska football sometimes for the same thing where like you're kind of like, oh well, this happened before, so this is the results to expect in the future. I mean, it's also a bit of like emotional hedging in some ways too, to not get hurt after the way things have gone. But
who hurt you?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a fair question. I mean, like, you know, the slate doesn't wipe completely clean, but I mean the one score stuff, I mean, it's gotta turn sometime. Like I just don't, I'm not good with statistics, but at some point it has to turn.
I'm just enamored by the fact that he can kind of low key. It's not even low key. He can kind of weave in history and the past, and then in the same way say something motivational where you know you're not married to it, right? Like he can eloquently talk about the difference between Columbus and Lincoln and Ohio State and UCLA, and talk about this year why he wants. I was going to say parent-led, player, the importance of a player-led team in a practical sense. Do you know what I mean? So he can give some historical context without being held captive by it. And I think there's just a part of me that appreciates the whole, you have to know where you come from so you know where you're going, but not being held captive by the past.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of that also comes from having, I mean, this is basically what his third go around with a situation like this. Like you kind of know the buttons to push, you know what it's supposed to look like at various points. And I don't know that the examples of the Ohio State and UCLA, I thought that was pretty helpful to kind of see, you know, what he's talking about, because I mean, I went back and watched the end of the second quarter in both of those games after he had talked about it. And I mean, it was night and day, just like he said about how they went into that. I mean, you know, Gus Johnson's losing his mind over John Hull's kick, and you feel like Nebraska just won the Super Bowl. Pure. And then, you know, it was like, you know, the UCLA game, it was like, are they gonna be able to get out of the stadium here? Like, is it, you know, what's this gonna look like? So yeah, I mean, getting rid of the peaks and valleys, that seems like a good idea into year 3.
What are you expecting to hear from Holgorsen today?
Little Dylan talk.
He's mastered brevity, but he can say a lot.
He can. He's always he's a good hang. He could listen. I mean, I'm curious about running backs. I think, I don't know how that can't be the discussion point going forward. Obviously, you know, Mosey moving over there probably deserves a question or two, given his skill set and what it seems like Dana wants to do or did at the end of last year. And I don't know.
I love Mosey because he's electric with the ball under his arms, but he's not a better natural runner than Mekhi Nelson. I'll take that to my grave.
You think he'll be a better receiver out of the backfield, though?
I don't know. I mean, he's caught more balls.
Yeah,
but
it's different coming out of the backfield versus lining up.
I'm just saying, like, Mekhi seems like a guy, if I gave him the ball 10 times, he's going to score twice. I'm just telling you. Like, I could hand it to him, and something good is going to happen a quarter of the time.
Do they have 4 now? Like, they want 3 or 4. Do they? Are they at 4 yet?
I don't think you do yet. I have too much respect for the position to think that even a guy as gifted with the ball under his arms as Mosey can just step in and play running back. You can utilize him like that, but your offense still has pass protection. You still have concepts. Now he is smart. He's definitely smart enough from an IQ standpoint, and he's talented enough to get it. But
you're probably talking about specific packages for him, not just plug and play as a 4th running back. Is that
fair?
I
mean, I was a quarterback my whole life. I played running back as a senior, and there were so many things I left on the table because I just hadn't done it. You know,
yeah.
I look kind of dumb doing some of this stuff, but I don't know. It's got to be harder at that level. I don't know. We'll see. I'm cheering for him because He's electric.
Because I mean, it's basically it's a test of your coaching, right? Like, can you either develop him enough to where you don't have to pigeonhole him into packages, or can you find specific things that he can do really well? I mean, that's probably the challenge with him there. But I mean, the running back stuff we need to ask about, and I don't know. I'm eager to see if they've found any big plays anywhere, because I think that's going to be
getting vertical in the passing game.
Important. Yeah.
That's our guy, Michael Bruntz, Husker247. Bruntz, appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
2 weeks in a row, I didn't get to the overrated question, but I've got it in the bag for next week.
You keep saying that. You're stringing me along. I don't know if you got it.
I sneak told Ravi after you hung up last week what it was going to be, and I think it's a good one.
Okay. Keep it in the hopper.
One of these days, we will get there.
See you guys.